Okay. So what you want to do is go to CCFA and click on General Reports. Then when you click this, the report that you want to choose is called Invoiced Service Month Extract. And the reason why I chose this report, and I'm saying I because the way that it was pulled before, it was through a different system. Because remember, I was in the days where Lois, so we were using CCIMS. So when I came into Circuit, we went from CCIMS to CCFA. So this is how I um, came up with doing a understanding how many kids we had um, in our caseload was by looking at this particular report because this shows how many children the providers bill for. Okay, so this is not the best way because this is the only way. Um, and the month that you're going to choose is you can come up with whatever month. I thought about the instructions that I left Corrine. I thought about the month of June because the month of June has most of the school-age children and then camps. That might not be necessarily true, might be more in July, but then in July, a lot of your school-age programs drop off. So, and when I say drop off, meaning educate programs are not billing for the children. So it's not going to come up on the billing report. So, um, I figured June would have a good amount of both of those programs, but I don't know how it is now. So just for these purposes, I'm going to choose January 2026. So once you say generate the report, you might get what's called gateway timeout. You might get that error. Don't pay attention to that. Just exit out and run it again. So I already ran the report just to save some time on this video. So it's going to download to your computer, the Excel sheet. And when it downloads, you're going to get this huge amount of data. So we have to clean it up. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen here, which is this one. Okay. Okay. So when you have the report now downloaded, you have to clean it up. So the first thing I do is obviously I'm going to get rid of the service date because I don't need this. I just want to know how many kids are in each program. So I'm going to also get rid of childcare circuit. I don't need this. I'm not going to get rid of the admin name and I'm not going to get rid of the provider name. I'm also not going to get rid of the address. I am going to get rid of voucher and region. I don't need to know that. I am going to stay with the agreement subtype. I'm going to get rid of expansion placement type, program type, and placement ID. I don't need this data right now. Void date, I also don't need. Um, I don't need birth date. And I don't need the eligibility start and end date. And I don't need the eligibility ID, the eligibility start date, disabled by provider. I don't need that. I don't need the eligibility start and end date, none of that, because remember, this is the billing month extract. So these are all the children that got billed for in January 2026. So this is pretty much current data. So I know that those start and end dates are valid. All this stuff over here, placement start date, placement end date, organization ID, base amount, all that, that's all billing stuff related. So I'm going to get rid of all of that junk. I don't need none of that data for these purposes. So now that we have this bare minimum, now the next thing we want to do is get rid of duplicates. So in order to get rid of duplicates, because again, the goal of this is to know how many children are in each provider. So I'm going to get rid of the person ID, the duplicate person ID, because there are dupes in here. So I'm going to highlight And I'm going to go to the function where it says, uh, where's data? Right here, remove duplicates. And that I column is, let me go here. That column is person ID. So it's going to be column G. So unselect all, and then I'm going to go to column G. And it removed 2,539 duplicate records. So now we remove the duplicate records. The next thing we are going to do based on the instructions is now we're going to start separating out the way you currently have a design. To my understanding is you have Magaline doing DCF. So for this, I'm going to sort. So I'm going to go to filter and I'm going to go to this column and go all the way where it says 9S and 9T. I don't know if protective is also DCF. I'm thinking it is. So I'm going to highlight those. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of this and I'm going to move it to another tab because I know this is one caseworker that does this. So I'm going to move it here. I'm going to rename this tab 9S and 9T. Then I'm going to go back to sheet 1 and I'm going to delete this because I already have that data on another tab. So I'm going to delete. Okay. Now I'm going to refilter to select all so I can get my sheet back. Now, the next thing we're going to do is your DTAs. I know you have DTAs with another worker. So let's do, and I'm not going to use this column because this column is not going to differentiate from your 1s and your 2s and your 3s. So I'm going to go to this tab, which actually does give me the 1s. So I'm going to unselect all, and then I'm going to go to your ESP, which I know are your 1s, and your SET, which is your SNAP. So I'm going to, again, get rid of these. Copy all of this and move it over to another tab. And that's your count right there for your DTA workers. Okay. Copy. And we're going to put right here in another tab. This is your DTA. And I'm going to delete because, oh, I actually lost the top of my column name. So let me bring that back as well as on my DTA. I also lost the column name. Okay. So now that we got rid of our DTA and our DCF, now the other thing we have is, where's my sheet 1? Is it this? Yeah. Let's bring everything back. We also have your early educator staff, right? And your self-employed. But self-employment for some reason is not on here as a service need because it's not, CCFA doesn't line it up on your service codes in that manner. So I'm just going to choose all the early ed staff and just put it on another tab just to clean it up more because you have this separated out anyways. It doesn't go to the worker, it goes to Yoeli and Josefina. So early ed, okay? All right, so we cleaned that up. Let's get rid of that. Boom. Now let's get back to all of our stuff. So now we got rid of DCF, DTA, and early educator staff. I don't know if there's another caseload that you have. Oh, the employees. Um, but that's senior staff, so that's not necessarily going to be here. You're not going to be able to see that here. So the next thing we want to do, now I have blanks in every other row, so I got to clean that up. So we got to do another feature here. So Control G gets you to the go to box, and we're going to do blanks. We're going to choose blank, go to special blanks rows. And what that's going to do is it's going to highlight all of those rows. And then I'm going to click on Control minus, which is going to then delete all those rows. So then I can get my sheet back nice and clean. So then I can count. I'm going to show you how to count each program. So what I ended up doing was, because I have all these blanks, I have to get rid of these blanks. So I highlighted them, and now I'm going to click on Control minus, shift cells up. And now it's going to get rid of all those blank rows. Okay, so now I got rid of all the blank rows. Now it's clean again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add another row here. And bring this back over where it was and unfilter this. And this program here, Seven Continents Montessori, only had one. I know that because I already ran the report prior to recording this video. So now that we have, now this is the main caseload report here, without DTA, without DCF, and early educator staff. Now we want to count. So the way we're going to count is we're going to add what's called a blank row, subtotal rows. So in order to do that, we have to first add a blank row here, which we're going to call count. And we're going to add the number 1 because I have to add up every single program and the number of kids it has. So I'm just going to add a number 1 here in this column. And then I'm going to do a not a pivot table, but a what's called a subtotal. So I'm going to highlight the whole thing, and then I'm going to go to see if I remember here. Oh, I believe it's data, and then I'm going to do subtotal. Oh, wait, hold on. I have to do, hold on. Once you have removed the priority codes, assign the employee, use the filter feature to show organize the sheet, remove all the other concept, the name of the program. Add then one subtotal feature. What's going on here? Why is it not adding? Oh, okay. Here we go. So the subtotal feature. So the first thing we're going to do is at each change in admin name, right? Because the admin name is different from the provider name. But I want to know how many children are in each admin. So Acre, ABC, early childhood, that's the way this is set up. So I want each change in admin names to add a blank row under that, and then use the function sum on column B. Column B. column B, which is count. And then it's going to replace current subtotals, do a page break between the groups, and summary below the data. So now it's going to separate each program and then give me a total count under each program name. So that's what it's doing right now. And then we're almost done here. So as you can see, it totaled 7 Continents Montessori 1. ABC Early Childhood has 12. Acre Family Childcare, if you scroll all the way down, it has 160 kids. And again, this is a point in time. So this is just for the month of January. Okay. This February was going to be roughly around the same thing. June 2026, there might have been more kids during the summer. Okay. So this is just the caseload report is only going to be a point in time. So ideally, you do want to run it every so often. And that's going to depend upon if you, again, like I said before, if you send out funding availability letters, and you wrote 1,000 kids, obviously that's going to shift your numbers. And so here you have all the totals for each program. Action Community Development for Boston. And the reason why this one's here is because Region 4, these kids are at the ABC Head Start in Main Street, and they're in Malden. So that's why it comes up on your Region 3 report, because there's kids that go to those particular sites. So that's why I left those 2 columns up at the top, the admin name and the provider name, because the provider name may have a different address, even though the admin might be in another region. So again, this is the gist of it. AlphaBest totals it right here. You have 29 kids. These are your IFCs or ICC. But you see how it totals each one. So what you want to do from here is take this and then go to your original caseload, which you already have, and then go to your tabs. There should be, if it's still the same the way I left it was, hidden columns. You should have an caseload report for your eyes only, which have the total count for each program. And that's the one that you use, because the one you send out to staff, you don't send out with the total of what each program has. So this is kind of like your admin um, um, Excel sheet where it has all the data. Okay, obviously you want to remove this information when you send it out to the staff. But again, you're just going to use this and transport it over to the existing Excel sheet, because this one here is not going to have your latest and greatest programs that were added. I know Cindy sent out a report, an email, I think last week, that had, okay, here are our new programs. And generally, when you have those new programs, they don't have any kids, or they may have kids, but very few. So, you want to take that into account as well. So, that's how you do the data. Sorry, the caseload report. So if you want to know more details, anything else that I can provide, I think this is the basics of it. But from here, you can play around with it, do whatever you want. Look at child development. How many kids does child development have? Let's see. 1,069 is the total for child development. Your kinder cares. Leo has 28, and so forth. Okay. How much were your early educator staff? Let me see. Early educator, you have 849 kids. Is that what it is? 283 kids for early educator staff. And that's So like 300 kids, right? Between Josefina and I. So 150. If we're doing it half and half, but obviously it's set up by last name. So this would need, if you really want to get down and gritty, you would then sort this out by last name, first name, and then you would do that count in that manner. These are your DTAs, how many DTA you have, how many DTA children you have. You have 1,079 DTA. And how much do you have for 9T and 9S, which is Madeline? You have 1,356. Okay. Alrighty. Let me know if you want any other details.